Hi, Mike here. I have ordered an RV back in December. It's now mid-June. I'm still waiting for it. But while I've been waiting, I've been doing a lot of research into things I need to buy. This is my first RV, so I've now got a long list of things that I could buy, should buy, must buy. And I wanted to share that with you in case you might find it useful for yourself. I'm wearing my England football shirt today because the Euros are on, and as of the time of filming this, England haven't been knocked out, so who knows how far they're going to go. There'll be a link in the description below to a file for you to download that has all the information in it. And the research that I did was mainly through Facebook user groups, YouTube, and manufacturer websites. So I got a lot of information from people who had been already RVing, and this list is my result. In addition to stuff to buy, the file will also contain links to some apps and websites that I think are useful. So my situation may be a little different to yours, although most of the things in the list are generally applicable no matter what kind of RV you're getting. I'm getting a Class B, that's a van. It'll have lithium batteries, it won't have a generator. It will have an induction cooktop. Sometimes I'll be boondocking, which means not staying at campsites with hookups. So those factors influence some of the choices of things that I need that you may or may not need. Warnings are that these are not specific recommendations for you. There's no guarantees. You have to do your own research. You have to make your own decisions. I'm not warranting or guaranteeing anything. So that's the sort of the legal disclaimer out the way. Also, things change, so I might be referencing products that are no longer available. I might have some links that are no longer available. For each item, I tried to put in a link to the manufacturer's website and also a link to Amazon, where I've been able to find these links. With regards to the links, I don't have any affiliations, so I'm not making any money from you using the links. They're just generic links. So the spreadsheet, the items in the spreadsheet are ordered by priority with things that I feel are must-haves and things that are optional. They're also ordered by category, so whether it's for the chassis, the Ford Transit van itself, or whether it's for the kitchen or the sewage and so on. So you can sort things in different ways. I generally sort it for myself by priority, so I have the highest priority things first and the next, and so on. And within the priorities, I sort it by category. You can sort it by price. I have cost estimates for each things as well, whichever way works best for you. So we're going to go through it the way that I just described, which is by priority and then within the priority by category. I also have got some cost estimates for the total items in each category, which I'll be able to give at the end. I won't be going through every single product. I'll go through some that I think are maybe a little bit more interesting or need a bit more explanation. So just right up front, the cost estimates by priority. The highest priority are things that I want to take for the inspection, and that came out to about $130. The things that I feel are must-haves came out to $870. Now your must-haves may be slightly different to my must-haves. Things that I felt were highly desirable, which is the next category, came to over $2,000, about $2,400 or so. Things that were desirable came to $1,100, and things that are optional, I haven't costed them at all. You may find cheaper items, you may find cheaper prices. For some of the items I've gone for sort of high-end good quality. There are going to be cheaper options, so it's up to you to decide what's important for you. So the highest priority are things that I feel I needed to take to the inspection. I did actually do a complete separate video on what I'm taking to the inspection and why, and the tests I'm going to do in the inspection. I'll put a link to that in the description below. But the things that I'm taking there are an outlet tester to test the electrical outlets, a USB cable with a device to test the USB outlets. I need something to test the induction cooktop. We don't have induction cookers at home, we have gas, so I had to buy something that would work specifically for an induction cooker. It'll also work on gas, but I didn't have anything particular. I need to check something for the microwave, so a cup or a bowl. I've already got one of those. A drinking water hose, and you need to get a very specific hose for drinking water. You can't use your common or garden hose. It's not safe for having drinking water flowing through it. And then lastly, a DVD to check out the DVD player works. So that's the sort of the absolute highest priorities, things that I wanted to take to the inspection itself. So the next priority are things that I feel really must have. And for the chassis, as a first aid kit and a tire pump. And you probably got these things already, so maybe you don't need to buy that. But you want a decent first aid kit. You never know what's going to happen there. Then for the bike, because I have a mountain bike, and I did buy the bike rack that came with the van. I also have a separate bike rack I could just put on the hitch on the back. Locks. A lock to lock the bike rack to the chassis, and then something to lock the bike to the rack. And there's all sorts of different kinds of locks on the market, so just get what you think is appropriate. Then the next one, electrical, and you'll see on anybody's YouTube or notes that a surge protector is absolutely critical. You can't really rely on the power source that you're hooking into when you're hooked up at a campsite or even at a friend's house. So having a surge protector is really critical, and there's a whole bunch of different ones out in the market there. So I make reference to a particular one, but there's a lot of them out there. Then so my van comes with a 30 amp connector, and most campsites have 30 amp connectors, but sometimes you might end up at a site that only has a 50 amp, not a 30 amp. So you might want a 50 amp to a 30 amp adapter, and then maybe a 15 amp male to 30 amp female dog bone, which would allow you to hook up to a general house supply, power supply, if you wanted to do that. And you might need an extension cord if you're so-called mooch docking at somebody's house. You might find that your power cord won't reach, and an extension cord is something you're going to need there. Then for the water and the sewage system, if you have a black tank flush, you want to have a separate hose for that, so it doesn't interfere with your drinking water hose. You absolutely need to get a water pressure regulator for the same reason you can't trust the electricity supply being completely pure and stable. You don't want to trust the water pressure at a campsite or whoever you're hooking into. And if you get too much water pressure through the water pipe into your input in your RV, you might damage your RV's plumbing system. So you really want to have some kind of water pressure regulator. They're very cheap, they're very simple devices, absolutely critical to get one of those. Of course, you need a sewer hose unless you've got a cassette toilet or a composting toilet. You only need a sewer hose. You might find that you get one when you get the RV. Water filter for hose. This is a water filter for the drinking hose. You got to figure out how you want to filter your water. Some people don't drink the water that they put into their RV's freshwater system. Some people put it in unfiltered and use something like a Berkey water filter. Most people would recommend you do put a filter in at the end where you are connected to the water supply. So that's something that you want to do, and I spent some time researching that, and I got a specific model for that you can see. Disposable gloves. When you're dealing with sewage, you don't want to get your hands messy at all. Then a few miscellaneous items for the inside. Biodegradable soap and shampoo. You just want to be environmentally conscious. Bedding, whatever works for you. I still have to figure out what kind of bedding I want to get, whether I'm just going to go with a simple throw it on sleeping bag or more traditional kind of bedding. Window covers. Your RV probably comes with window covers. You might want something different, or you might want something extra, like if you've got a van or a truck, you might want something to go on the outside of the front windscreen if you're in very hot climates, to help with dissipating the heat or preventing the heat from getting in. So that's a list of things that I think are essential and must-haves for me. May not be the same for you. So when it comes to things that are highly desirable, I got my list here so I don't forget anything in particular. Peppermint oil and or fresh cat. Basically what we're trying to do here, along with the ultrasonic pest repeller, is don't allow mice and rodents into your RV because they will chew things up. And they can jump up, so don't think just because you're off the ground that they can't get in. These critters will find a way in. So you got to figure something out. And a solar light motion sensor can also help if that's underneath. Ladder, you may not need one. There's a particular one that I found that I think I'm going to go with. Tire repair plug kit, traction blocks, or levelers, whatever is appropriate for you. You might want to have a jump starter for your van battery. You might find that your house battery in the RV can be used also to jumpstart your vehicle. You might want to get a vehicle tracking device. For me, if I'm going out hiking, biking or running in the mud and I want to come back into the RV, I might want to have a waterproof seat cover for the seat that I first sit in as I sort of collapse into the van. In my particular instance, that's likely to be the passenger seat that swivels around, and I might put a cover on that. Dash cam for safety, front seat floor mats. Just think about how you're going to wash the van, especially how you're going to wash the roof. You might want to get an RV specific wand for that. Moving on to the kitchen, there's a couple of things there. The induction cooktop, I don't want anything dropping down and smashing onto it, so there's just a very simple cheap cover to put over that. And then a kettle, just figure out how you're going to heat hot water. If you want a cup of coffee, you might have a coffee maker. Me, I'm a tea drinker, so I just need to heat up water. I could do it in a cup in a microwave. I could do it on the induction cooktop. I could get a separate kettle, but I just think a kettle on the induction cooktop is probably the way that I'm going to go. Then there's a bunch of things in the water and sewage area. I already mentioned about a Berkey water filter. There's different kinds there. I'm not going to get one before I get the van because I want to sort of see. I don't have much space in a Class B van. I'm going to figure out how I'm going to put it in if I'm going to get one. Then there's various things to help keep your systems odor free and well running. Dry bag, that's for so the dry bag is one that won't let water in if it rains or gets wet, or won't let water out either. So that's something I might use to keep the sewage hoses in, for instance, if I can't find a way to keep everything in the containers that are on the van. Sewer hose support. Some campsites you have to have a support to keep your black tank sewer hose off the ground. So I guess I'll probably get that. Things to get outside, a camping chair. I got a cheap one, really cheap one, but I'm also going to get one that I'm really comfortable in. The cheap one will either be for guests or to use to indicate to people that I'm still there if I'm at a campsite and I am leaving it temporarily. Have heard stories of people who have left campsites and their spot's been taken because the campsite owners thought they'd gone. So I need to make sure that that doesn't happen. I don't plan on using it where I go boondocking because those sites are generally non-bookable, and although people do try and leave stuff around to indicate that that's their site, it isn't their site and they shouldn't be doing that. Headlamp, I actually just got one yesterday for being out in the dark. And a kneeler and seat. So I have bad knees, and I already got this. In fact, I found it, I should have got this a couple of years ago, because I use it a lot around the house when I'm doing yard work or in the car when I'm getting down and unhitching my bike rack and things. So that's already been very useful, even though I haven't got the RV. Safety protection. What do you want? Do you want to think about that? You may not want to think about that. Do you want to get a pepper spray for safety? Do you want to get a firearm? Just make sure whatever you get, you're comfortable with, you know how to use, and it's legal where you travel, because there are different rules in different states and different countries. Then miscellaneous things that are highly desirable: alternator belts, vacuum cleaner. You got to find some way of cleaning the van. Probably need to get some kind of broom as well. flashlight, fuses. Yeah, don't skimp on the fuses. Just they're very cheap. Buy a cheap pack of fuses. Unless you happen to be in an RV that has a proper sort of house-style fuse panel where the fuse pops and you push it back in. I only come across one RV that does that on a van. And then that's on a travel trailer, actually. Small squeegee, spare propane tank gasket, just in case the one drops off. Tool set, you want to get a general tool set because things will break. If you've done any kind of research at all, you know that an RV goes through like an earthquake every time you drive it. So things are gonna break and need fixing. Trimmer vent cover, I have a trimmer hot water heater and sort of exhaust the hot air to the outside, and a vent cover will make sure that all flies and bugs can't come into it. And a USB fan just to help with the air circulation. So that's the list of things that I think are highly desirable. So moving on to things that are desirable, I'm going to put up the spreadsheet here. Oh, sorry, the list of things here. And I know if I put it up, you're going to look at it and you're not going to listen to what I'm going to say. So I'll just talk about, so I'm going to put it up anyway and just talk about a few things. By the way, that's a general helpful hint. If you give somebody something, if you hand them a piece of paper, if you're in a meeting, or if you put a slide up, they're going to look at that straight away. And so if you want them to listen to you, you hide it. You don't give it to them. Or you just do something in pictures. So they're looking at a picture and then they're listening to you when you're talking. All right, end of lesson. So what is on here that may not be obvious to you? Air vent cab window insert. So this just allows me to lower the passenger or the driver's window a little bit, put a device in the window so it keeps the rain out but allows some air to circulate through. Collapsible cones, again that's for helping to preserve a campsite. Hitch roller, so that goes on the hitch on the back of the vehicle, so that if you're going up a steep slope, if the back of your van or your vehicle, whatever it is, or your trailer hits the ground, it's going to hit the hitch roller rather than hit your vehicle or your trailer. Just a bit of safety there. Super bumper is sort of what I've got. It's a device to protect the van in case somebody comes into you from the rear at a slow speed, so it should damage them rather than damage you. Tire pressure monitoring system, there's a whole bunch of those you can get if you want to do that. You might find your vehicle comes with it anyway. What else? Sewer hose for a quick dump with no threaded end. There was a video I saw from Camping Coastie where he talked about having two different types of sewers for different situations. I can't remember exactly what the reason was, but I'll try and put a link to that video in the description below as well. Oh, miscellaneous stuff. Some of it's pretty obvious. Most of that seems pretty obvious, actually. Spray bottle just for wiping down various things. Cutting board set, yeah. Fat trapper to just to help avoid putting. You don't want to put food waste down your sink as much as possible as you can avoid it, because that just goes into your grey tank through your pipes, and you want to sort of avoid things the best you can. All right, so the last list is things that are optional. Maybe your wish list here. So let's see. Put on a few things here. External reflectives for windows and fridge area. That's if you're in very hot areas, you might want to put some outside reflective material where your fridge is and where some of the windows are. I already talked about the front windscreen. This to help make sure you stay a bit cooler. What else have we got in here that might not be obvious? More accurate tank reader in the miscellaneous section. You may not need that. A lot of RVs, when they have black tank, grey tanks, and freshwater tanks, they indicate like they're 3/4 full, half full, or a quarter full. You might want it more finer than that, and you might find that the tank readings are not particularly accurate anyway. First aid kit for hiking, emergency blanket for hiking. I plan on doing a bunch of hiking, so there's some hiking stuff in here. So that's about it. So I hope you find this useful. If you've got any questions on anything that's in here or in the spreadsheet, put it in the comments below and I'll try and answer it. If you find this kind of topic interesting, then subscribe to the channel. So I've got a few videos on why I chose a Class B, why I named it. As I already said, I've got one on the inspection. I'll certainly be trying to film the walkthrough when I collect it, because I'm not going to remember everything. Yeah, that's about it. So who knows when I'll get this RV. I ordered it in end of December in 2020. Was told to expect around an April delivery date. Then a few months later that got shifted out to September, October, then it got pulled back to July. Now it's mid-June and they say no idea when we're going to get it. So who knows, but hopefully someday I'll get out on the road with the RV and I'll buy this stuff gradually. I'll buy things that are really essential early on, and then the rest of it I might change my mind on some things as you get used to your van and your own situation, whatever RV you have. So enjoy your travels, enjoy this great country. See you next time.